Good afternoon, YouTube, and welcome back to Fat Cat Collections. Today I just want to do another discussion video of, I want to do a series soon of videos in response to some of the negative comments that I get about Invicta watches, or about, some of the other videos I posted, okay? Now, I get about 80,000 views per month on my videos. I get thousands of comments all the time on my videos, and most of the comments that I get on Invicta watches are fantastic. People love them. And like I've always said, guys, I'm not saying Invicta is the best watch out there. It's just I think a watch that gives you the most for your money if you like that style of watch. And they have so many different styles to choose from that you're pretty hard-pressed to not find one that you're going to like. There's hundreds and hundreds of Invicta watches, all with different quality levels. But whenever I get a negative comment on my channel, I make it a point to never really respond to it or really post it. Unless it's something that is, about somebody's experience or some, constructive criticism. Those I don't mind having a little bit of a discussion. But a lot of the comments that these people make are in regards to Invicta being, a poor quality watch. They're really just guys who are just talking out their ass. They really don't have any facts, and they really don't know anything about watches, and they sure as hell have never done their research on these watches. Now, today I'd like to call out one guy, and I don't normally do this, but I'm going to start to have some fun doing this, and I want you guys to comment on what you think about this stuff, too. So, here's the guy's name. He posted on the channel, and I went ahead and posted this one so I could reply. And what this guy's comment did is get me to do a little more research, which I've done in the past before on the Invicta watches and their movements and the quality. And, like I said, I have a lot of Invicta watches, and I've never had any issues other than one. And it always seems like the one time I mention that issue, these haters jump on the bandwagon about it and then, just re-explain the issue I've already explained. Folks, you can have good and bad luck with anything out there. Anything. Just because you get one watch that has a defect doesn't mean that there are thousands made without a defect. So, I don't even know why I should have to even explain this, but obviously this should just be common sense, folks. Common sense. But what I've learned throughout life is that there are a lot of morons out there, and a lot of people just don't have any brains whatsoever. So, with that being said, let's move on to the comment posted today. This guy's name is David Burton, his YouTube username, and here's what he writes. He said, Invicta wristwatches are garbage. You should take the back off and look. Teeny movement and massive case. There are only 5 wristwatches in the world. This company does not, there are only 5 wristwatches in the world. This company does not come within the top 40. My advice is save your money and buy a decent wristwatch. First of all, I don't even know what that comment even means. Let's try it again. Here we go. Let me try it again, David Burton. Invicta wristwatches are garbage. Okay, I get that part. You should take the back off and take a look. I understand. Teeny movement and massive case. There are only 5 wristwatches in the world. This company does not come within the top 40. My advice, save your money, buy a decent wristwatch. So, he failed to I think what he means is that there's only 5 in his opinion that are there's only 5 that he would ever buy, right? Maybe he's really well off. Who knows? That's pretty arrogant, but anyway. Alright, so let me respond to that, okay? He said to take the back off and take a look at the movement. Now, folks, a lot of the Invicta watches I have exhibition backs, and you can see the movement. So that doesn't make any sense right there. I don't have to take the back off. Most of the movements that they list on most of their watches, they tell you what the movement is. Now, I'm not saying that Invicta does not make watches in the, let's say, $50 to $60 price range, that if you open the back, it's going to be just your basic, cheap, quartz movement. No name, no nothing, like you'll find in thousands of watches out there. Go into Macy's or go into all the stores in the mall, you're going to find hundreds of watches where the movement's not even listed. Now, this also made me do some research, because a lot of the watches that I have by Invicta actually have your Seiko NH35 and 36A movements, okay? Those are 23, 24 jewel movements made by Seiko. And let's face it, guys, Seiko is a fantastic watch brand. Anybody who says differently is just, again, a moron, all right? But these same people who be like, get a Seiko, don't realize that a lot of the Invicta watches have Seiko automatic movements. Just like your old Android watches, the old Aragon brand, that's all they use for automatic movements, was the Seiko NH35 and 36As. So right there, that's a comment right there that makes no sense. The other ones Invicta uses a lot of are the Ronda movements. And Ronda is a Swiss-made movement. That's where they can get away with saying the watches are Swiss-made. The watches don't have to be made in Switzerland to be Swiss-made, guys, okay? That's just a level of standard, and the parts are made in Switzerland. Some of the parts are... Now, Invicta may get away with it with saying maybe that the Ronda movement may not be necessarily made completely in Switzerland, but there's lots of people doing this. It's not just Invicta, guys. several watch companies out there, well-known brands, use Ronda movements, and I'd like to mention a few of those brands right now. So, and Invicta doesn't always also use Rondas. If you want to get some of their higher-end versions of the same watch, basically, like your Grand Arsenal, you can get with a automatic movements made by, I might screw up the name here, but you got, what do I list here? Valjoux, I think it's called. The ISA movements, Salida movements. There's several Noma 5s that have the Salida movement. All right, and I just want to kind of touch base on some of the other watch brands that use mainly Ronda, but a few of those other ones. So, who uses some of the movements like, let's see, Valjoux, ISA, and Salida? Okay, name a few. Breitling, okay, is one. You have also Oris, Tag, Raymond Wheel, Swiss Army, Luminox, Wenger. I'm going to screw this up. Maurice Lacroix, I believe that's how you say that. And, of course, Penari, if I'm saying that right. Penari, excuse me. Guys, butcher me if you want to know how I pronounce the names. But I know these are very, very, what people call high-end, very expensive watches. And a lot of these watches use the same movements as Invicta. So for you to come at me and say that Invicta watches are garbage, they use crap movements, you're just somebody who has not done any research and knows nothing about watches. So let's stick with the Ronda movements, okay? So Ronda's the ones that you'll find in most of the Invicta watches in their reserve level. So that means your most of my watches, all the ones I have in the roughly the $200 to say $400 price range, use your Ronda movements, okay? That's what Invicta primarily uses. Again, we start getting into the Grand Divers, or the Grand, couple of the Venoms, they'll use the Seiko NH35A movement for the automatics. Let's talk a little bit about a couple of the watches that use Ronda movements. Now, I stumble on tons of watches that use Ronda movements. A lot of them I can't remember, but just the last 10 minutes of me doing research, here's one, for instance, that uses your Ronda movement, okay? So, you have, now if you go to some of the websites selling this stuff, they only list Swiss-made movement. Several of the watches made by Tag are actually using Ronda movements, okay? Let's see. Looks like you find that in their Formula 1 watch, and that's going to be $800 to $1,500 for that watch. So, you know, for those of you who think that the Tag is an amazing watch, yeah, it's a great watch. They're all nice watches. But, okay, there's a watch using the same movement as Invicta, charging like 5 times as much. Okay, now if you like that style, it's great. You like that brand, wonderful. But don't sit here and say that Invicta's garbage when they're using the same movement, guys. Same brand. I mean, come on. Another one that we're going to look at here. We have, let's see here. Okay, so another one here. Salidas. The Salida movements you can find in one of the Aqua Racer watches. That watch will run you about $1,800. Let's see here. Getting back to the Ronda, just to hit you up with a couple more. You have in your tags, you have your golf watch and the Aqua Racer Grand Date. That's using your Swiss Ronda movement. And there's tons of other watches out there using the Ronda movement. One of the other watches by Ocean 7, another brand, makes a dive watch. $800 to $900 for that watch. I think they're very basic. It's just my opinion. But guys, Ronda movement. So for anybody to come at Invicta and take the stance that that they're garbage and they use crap movements is just, again, I'm sorry, man, but you're a moron. You're making no sense. You've done no research. Ronda, you'll find Rondas in thousands of different watches out there, and it's no different than Invicta. And if you have a problem with Ronda, then you have a problem with thousands of other watch brands that you probably would endorse as an amazing watch that blows Invicta out of the water. But you know what? Maybe you've had a bad experience. I'll give you the benefit of the doubt. Maybe you've had one bad experience and, you know, you're like, all right, you gave up on them. But I can tell you, I have well over 20 Invictas in my collection. And the only problem I have is that the batteries are starting to die now after 3 years. And that's just the nature of the beast. Again, the only problem I had, and I'll mention it again, it was on a Grand Diver. The back was unfortunately a defect, and it was cross-threaded a little bit, and it leaks. And that's the only issue I've had. All the other watches are absolutely perfect, okay? No issues whatsoever. Wear them on a daily basis. No issues, guys. Now, I can't speak on... Some people have a problem with Invicta because of their customer service. Now, I have never dealt with Invicta because I have Invicta's customer service because I've never had any issues with them. I've never really had the need to send a watch back to them, okay? Now, if you're abusive to your product or you're abusive to your watches, maybe you'll have more issues. Me, personally, I have never had any issues with my watches, just based on something not working, okay? Now, it's not, again, it's not impossible. It does happen. Actually, one of my coworkers bought one, a Grand Arsenal, and he has tons of Invictas too. He bought a Grand Arsenal, got it. There was something wrong with the movement. It just would not. You could not get the second hand to tick when you put it in chronograph mode. It was a defect. Sent it back. They got him a new one. Perfect. Okay. So yes, guys, you can have an issue once in a while where you're going to get a defective product. That can be said about every single watch brand out there. That can be said about every single brand of anything out there. And for anybody who makes the comment that a brand is just crap because of that, once again, is an absolute moron. Now, again, what I think the real problem is not necessarily that this guy had an Invicta and had an issue and gave up. I think the real problem is, maybe something a little more personal to you. Maybe a guy jacked your girl who wore an Invicta watch, Maybe you knew somebody who wore one that you just wanted to judge them based on how they looked. Maybe you're just not bold enough to pull off an Invicta watch on your wrist. Whatever the circumstances is, my point is that your argument holds no water. And really, what I recommend for you in the future is to do your research and do your homework before shooting your mouth off on a channel where people really like the Invicta product and respect one another and enjoy talking watches. So just to let you know, once again, sir, your comments will be deleted and we'll be posting more videos just like this in response to some of the moronic comments that I get from the Invicta haters. Alright guys, well that's my video for today, my 2 cents. Remember guys, do your research, shop smart, don't get ripped off, buy product that you like. It doesn't matter what other people like, it's about what you like. And I don't get paid by Invicta. I wish I did, I should, but I just like the brand, guys. And there's other brands I like too, from Bulova, the Citizen, to Seiko. I like all brands, but Invicta gives you that look that I like, the big, oversized watch thing, Diesel's another brand that does it, Nixon does it, but those watches don't even list their movements. So open up the back on one of those compared to an Invicta, and then come talk to me. Alright guys, thanks again for watching. It's always a pleasure sharing this stuff with you guys. Remember to hit like, subscribe. Find me on Facebook. That's Fat Cat Watches page. Become part of the wrist shot action. Remember guys, help support the channel. If you're going to make a purchase, I always put links in the description for where you get this stuff. Through some of the links on eBay. I like eBay for my watch purchases. I always feel like I'm protected and I get great service and fast shipping. What else? If you also are a fan of Amazon, go ahead and click the link in the description. Go to fatcatwatches.com. Check out those links where I put up reputable sellers where I buy my stuff from, and also check out the Fat Cat Watches eBay store and Amazon store. Help support the channel, guys. As always, have a great day.